Have you ever had a teacher with literally no common sense? My chemistry teacher, Mrs. Patterson, was absolutely convinced that every science fair project was dangerous and needed to be shut down immediately. She transferred from an elementary school after some incident involving a volcano that supposedly got out of hand. From day one, she treated our lab like a nuclear facility. We couldn't use anything sharper than plastic spoons, and she insisted we wear gloves even when handling tap water or vinegar during basic demos. It was ridiculous, but the real insanity started during science fair season. I'd been working on a project about plant growth using different types of water: distilled, tap, and rainwater. Pretty basic stuff. I had bean sprouts growing in clear containers on my windowsill at home. When I brought in my progress photos, Mrs. Patterson went ballistic. "This is completely inappropriate. You're conducting unsupervised experiments with unknown chemicals." "It's just water," I explained, confused. "I'm measuring which type helps plants grow better. Water can be extremely dangerous. What if there are bacteria? What if the containers break? What if you accidentally create some kind of toxic environment?" She was dead serious. "I'm shutting this down immediately." She made me throw away weeks of data and start over with a safer project, a poster about the periodic table. No actual science, just copying information from a textbook. For our next assignment, I decided to play it ultra safe. I chose to research butterflies, just library research. No actual butterflies involved. I spent hours creating detailed charts about butterfly life cycle stages, migration patterns, and wing structures. When I presented my research, Mrs. Patterson frowned at my poster. "Where are the actual specimens?" she asked. "You said no experiments, so I just did research," I replied. "But how do we know this information is accurate if you haven't observed it yourself? This is lazy science. You need to actually study real butterflies." She marked it down to a C. I was baffled. First, she shut down my actual experiment for being too dangerous. Then she knocked off marks for not doing hands-on observation. There was no winning. Word spread quickly. Marcus got in trouble for bringing in a magnet to demonstrate magnetic fields. Jennifer's project about different types of soil was deemed potentially contaminated. Even Tommy's research on space exploration was criticized because rocket science is too advanced for high school students. The breaking point came during the actual science fair. I'd somehow convinced her to let me do a simple demonstration about density using oil and water. No chemicals, no heat, just pouring liquids into a clear container. During my presentation, I carefully poured the oil into the water, showing how they separated into distinct layers. The audience was engaged, asking good questions about why this happened. Then Mrs. Patterson rushed over. "Stop immediately," she shouted, causing everyone to turn and stare. "You're creating a hazardous mixture. Oil and water together could cause. She paused, clearly not knowing what disaster she was imagining. "They just separate," I said quietly, holding up the completely harmless container. "It's basic density demonstration." "Well, you never know what could happen," she stammered. "Better safe than sorry." My parents were in the audience and watched this whole scene unfold. After the fair, they requested a meeting with the principal. Mrs. Patterson sat in the meeting insisting that you can't be too careful with chemicals, while my dad pointed out that both substances were literally in our kitchen cabinet. The principal finally asked her to explain exactly what danger she believed oil and water posed. She couldn't answer, just kept repeating that science can be unpredictable. By the end of the year, they'd learned it was easier to just make posters about other people's discoveries than risk Mrs. Patterson's safety paranoia. She still teaches there, but now she's required to justify her safety concerns with actual evidence before shutting down projects.